Thank you. Well, most of what's now known about Trapwire does come from the emails that some anons I know took from Stratfor and gave to WikiLeaks, and they released a few of these discussions between Fred Burton, in particular, the vice president of Stratfor, talking to the Trapwire people over and over again. So what we know about how it functions is largely gleaned from those emails. There's a few other sources, such as, for instance, we know that in 2007, a single quarter uh, period, Trapwire cost about $1.7 million to operate in Los Angeles County, just in that 3 month period. So that's, I mean, we know it clearly costs a lot to operate. We also know that folks, overall, the big problem here is that it provides several capabilities into one. It manages to take lots and lots of data from the closed circuit cameras that are increasingly found in large urban areas and other institutions, and makes the information more actionable and functionable, usually through automatic processes like facial recognition. Uh, right now, a lot of that is done in such a way as that the information gleaned is not shared outside of the region, as in it's not shared uh, outside of a particular given area, like whether it be New York or Texas or what have you. Unfortunately, that's about to change as the president of Abraxas Applications, which makes Trapwire, himself said to Fred Burton in one of those emails that it's all very much become integrated, such that eventually all of this information that's taken in and collated and then cross-referenced with whatever capabilities they use, including social network monitoring and a number of other things of the sort that we've been looking at the last year and a half. Uh, so it's going to become much more threatening in terms of abuse as that happens. And even now, the company itself, Abraxas Apps, they do the cross-checking there at their offices, such that they are capable of the most abuse, in so much as that they have the greatest sort of totality of access to the information gleaned, and a lot of information can be gleaned from these capabilities. The thing about Abraxas, the company that, Abraxas Applications, the company that made Trapwire, this is a spin-off of another company just called Abraxas. And the interesting thing about Abraxas, we already have a page up them on echelon2org.wiki, echelon2.org, where we compile information on these subjects. And Abraxas years ago bought a company called Anonymizer. Anonymizer, among other things, happened to have the ability to hide IP traffic very well, just because of the other pursuit it was involved in. So Abraxas buys them, and then Cubic buys Abraxas after that. And then a number of personnel, techniques, methodology taken from Anonymizer and Abraxas, and even some of the board members are put onto another small company called Intrepid, which is meant to be hush hush, only has a website. The fact that it is a wholly owned subsidiary of Cubic Corporation was not supposed to be known. That's one of the things we were able to figure out with tax documents. But anyway, that Intrepid company, gleaning from these Abraxas people, they won the 2010 Centcom bid for persona management software. Persona management software being the capability by which a few people can run dozens of fake online identities, complete with history, complete with sort of linguistic assistance, other features that help to provide for infiltration, disinformation, and propaganda, just making opinions appear to be coming from people that they really aren't. So and the reason I bring this up, and the reason this is such an important opportunity, I think, is that that particular issue in itself, the greater story here about the various capabilities that are now not just possible but being implemented in ways that are often surprising, I think, to most people. Uh, this is one of those opportunities where perhaps the press at large can finally get a sense that this is something that needs to be covered on an ongoing basis. There's a great deal of issues that are very much hidden in plain sight in addition to the great amount of material that we have no access to, with regards to how Americans and people abroad are being surveilled, not just by governments, but by corporations and other institutions on an increasing basis. This just plays into that, basically. Well, the Stratfor emails were taken from Stratfor by a couple of associates of mine back in December. And after there was some discussion about what to do with them, whether to release them all 5.2 million of them into the public, as had been the case with early releases like H.B. Gary, for instance. In this case, it was eventually decided to send it to WikiLeaks, uh, and WikiLeaks, in this capacity, has been going through them and releasing batches of these emails every couple months as they find things that deserve a great deal of attention. So putting out in batches, which is often a good idea. So in this case, they happen to find Stratfor, uh, with all these email conversations, mostly between Fred Burton and the Abraxas app people, talking about exactly what this thing does, what it might be useful for, uh, all that. Anyway, but this all these emails they've just been released by WikiLeaks, and that's the source. Since that period a couple of days ago when they did release the actual emails and so everyone started looking into things, a bunch more of things have been gleaned by people I know and by some of my people within Project PM and others just out there who are kind of, I guess we're all sort of engaging in one of these crowdsourced kind of sort of investigation campaigns and putting all the information together. So now we know a lot more about the details, and that'll probably continue for a while. We'll keep learning more. For instance, just now, WikiLeaks itself noted that while Stratfor itself was promoting Trapwire via its newsletter and whatnot, they apparently had a 7% commission on any sales to it. So that's just one more incident showing the corrupt nature of Stratfor, which is a whole other issue, but does definitely play into the mentality of the kind of people who run this kind of industry, which is something that more people need to realize. If these were all really ethical people who thought, long term and who were intellectually honest and who were competent, we'd have a lot less to worry about. No matter how high end these capabilities keep getting, and they are getting very high end. Combining the fact that a lot of these things are secret, that a lot of them are getting more and more powerful, that some of them are entirely unknown to the public, et cetera, et cetera. And some of them sound like conspiracy theory stuff. It makes the public less and less equipped to really understand why we should all be frightened by this. I mean, this is an issue that frightens me more than anything else. Before the H.B. Gary incidents, I personally did not follow this. It's just what I saw in that and what I kept seeing, becoming obsessed with the issue. I've just never seen any single indication whatsoever that hasn't increased my concern about what's going on in this wider surveillance, data mining, propaganda industry. Yeah, that's very common. The in-game systems is another firm with former CIA agents. That's very very common for board members in particular to be either ex-generals, ex-CIA, ex-NSA in some cases. Uh, you know, some, it's very widespread in this industry. You see that, and that's part of that has to do with sort of an advantage for these companies because a lot of these contracts, finding out about them, for instance, because not all of them are posted publicly, uh, that sort of thing. It really helps if you have someone, sort of a revolving door kind of person who just came out of that industry and who now works for yours. Same thing as Chertoff, who is now on the board of several of these companies after having left Homeland Security and has helped those companies quite a bit in terms of winning these bids on contracts. So I mean that a lot of these companies, again, in-game systems, best example. Uh, have recruit very much from the CIA and from the military intelligence and that kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, and that's something that doesn't concern me as much as some of the other aspects of it, but it's definitely one of those things that reveal, how little we know so far, and how lucky we are to have these incidents have occurred, and how lucky we are to have WikiLeaks, so that we do get a chance to learn at least a small percentage of what dishonest and just we get to learn how much we've been betrayed by a government that obviously is very concerned about Americans finding that out to any real extent. Which is the same reason they treat Bradley Manning as they do. That a government can only survive to the extent that it seems legitimate. So things like that have to be tamped down on their end. Yep. I'd be very surprised if we saw any more than one or two congressmen bring it up. Generally, Hank Johnson. He's the one who brings up stuff like the HB Gary or NSA surveillance. And always gets the rug pulled out from under him. And people like Lamar Smith, whenever he does, the media, where that's a lot of this kind of stuff I work on, trying to prompt them to cover this, generally by providing them exclusive materials that we've gleaned somehow. There's been a lot of research by myself and a number of people that I worked with in the past couple of days, and about Cubic, uh, Abraxas applications, and of course Trapwire, and we're compiling that as we go. Uh, there's also been several attacks on some of Abraxas' websites, and there'll be more of those as time goes on. Some of which might be some more sophisticated. And at the same time, what's most necessary here is for this to be taken advantage of in such a way as to force it into the media attention. I mean, it's all well and good when the kind of sort of independent media or technical media or some of the more nuanced media covers this, but what's needed is for CNN or something, things like that, to actually give a little bit of attention to this very important story. This obviously Trapwire is just one of many uh, very significant capabilities that we didn't know about exactly till now. There are many others that I've talked about uh, in the last year or so, which are almost entirely unknown and which are really even more impressive from the standpoint of how well they do what they do. The fact of the matter is, it's almost too late to fight this process. But on the other hand, we haven't seen a whole lot of fighting, and there should be, because these issues are fundamental to everything involving activism. Everyone who's an activist is the canary in the coal mine on these capabilities. They're the ones who are most often targeted with them. They're the ones who are most often, harassed or denounced using, bizarre sort of clandestine means. It's something that every activist needs to study up on, and I'd encourage anyone who wants to know more to go to our site echelon2.org, where we've compiled a great deal of information on these subjects, including Abraxas, this company here. Uh, that well, a company run by ex-CIA agents, which has extraordinary uh, powers by virtue of this system, uh, is almost certainly going to abuse this system, or its customers will abuse it. And that's not something we have to guess at. It's something that's just it is very well demonstrated by what happened with H.B. Gary, uh, what's been revealed about some of the other companies, including SAIC, that seem to have had a hand in this as well. The story needs to be that a great deal of secretly used power is being increasingly concentrated in the hands of people who are not just unaccountable, but oftentimes have a very, very bizarre mentality that involves control and which does not derive its basis from the Constitution or from privacy or liberal human rights. These are control, security, order kind of people, and I've seen no occasion in human history in which these things have gone well. Thank you very much.